Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. Now students, let's start with our next topic here, that is the organs of government. Now before starting this topic students, let's have a brief recap of what we have learned earlier. Now before this we were talking about the need for the government, right? We understood why government is important. We also talked about the different kinds of government that can exist all over the world. In fact, it exists today in different countries. For example, we can have democratic kind of government, then we can have monarchical form of government, autocratic form of government, we can also have military dictatorship anywhere. I also gave you certain examples of different countries where we have these kinds of government. Now when we are talking about our own country, definitely we have a democratic form of government. Yes. Now here you are already aware of the term that is organs of government. In fact, in the first topic itself, we understood about the political institutions. Then we talked about these institutions. Here we talked about the important organs of the government. Now without these institutions, we all know that what kind of government there will be in our country. Will there be any government, students? You can simply answer this question. Obviously not. If there are institutions such as legislature, executive, judiciary, these political institutions, they have certain responsibilities. The Constitution has laid down the laws for these political institutions, right? We also have a host of officials, bureaucrats, ministers who are involved in the government, and they have the responsibility of taking major decisions on behalf of the common people. Now this is how a good government works. This is how a good democracy works, right? So here when we are talking about our country, what is the nature? What are these organs of government? We have to understand here in this topic. Now here look at the first point, students. So the first point here, it says that India is a federation. Now is this term new for you? Have you heard the term that is federation? If not, let us try to understand what do we understand by the term federation. So when I am saying federation, here it means that the power is being shared between the states and the central government. Okay? Here you have to understand that India is also a federation, but is it a full-fledged federation, or we have certain characteristics of unitary government, then we have certain characteristics of federation, right? When we are talking about the unitary kind of government, unitary form of government, what do we understand by that? Unitary, it means, in maths also you must have read this term unitary, it means one, correct? So there is only one government, the central government, that has taken all the responsibilities. Okay, but here when we are talking about India, do we have only one government, students? No, definitely not. We have a central government, then we have the state governments, right? So at various levels we have these governments, they have certain responsibilities, they maintain the law and order in their respective states. Okay, in fact when we are talking about India, we have three-tier system. The first one is the central, then the state, then we have at the local level the panchayat, right? So you will learn all these terms in your senior classes also, and also in your other chapters. So here students, when we are talking about the term federation, you have to understand that the power is being shared between the central government and the state government. But in India, there is a term that you must know. When we are talking about federation, we have quasi-federal system. Now what do we understand by this quasi-federal system? Now this is an extra information that I am trying to give here. Okay, since we are talking about the term federation, I think you should know these basic things. Okay, when we are reading political science, I told you certain terms are of real importance here. So when we are talking about the quasi-federal system, it means that here the central government, although the power is being shared between the central and the state government, but the central government, they enjoy certain advantages. Okay, so there is not a full-fledged federation here. State government definitely has some powers, but central government, again, there are some extraordinary powers that only the central government can have. Okay, so this is an important point that you must keep in mind. Now, when we are talking about the organs of government, here you are already aware of these terms. The first one being the legislature, the second one being the executive, and the third one being the judiciary. Now, when we are talking about legislature, now can you tell me what is the role of the legislature? Yes, you can definitely answer this question. So, the legislature, they have the responsibility of making the laws. So the people, the ministers involved, right, in this branch of government, they make the laws. Now the second branch of government or the organ of government is the executive. Now what is the role of the executive branch? To implement or execute the laws that have been made by the people, the ministers involved in the legislative branch. So here the people or the officials involved in the executive branch, they have the responsibility of executing these laws, of implementing these laws. Now when we are talking about the judiciary, you can totally relate with the term judiciary, as you must have heard about the Supreme Court, the judges there in the Supreme Court, then you must have heard about the high courts, that is at the state level. When we are talking about at the district level, we also have certain different courts, the local courts there, right? We also have the Lok Adalats, right? So here when we are talking about the judiciary, this is the third organ of the government, and the main role here of the judiciary is to interpret the laws that have been made by the legislative branch and executed or implemented by the executive branch. So interpreting the laws, seeing over the laws that have been implemented in an efficient way, this is the role of the judiciary. So here students, we have learnt about these organs of government. In our next topic, we are going to talk about the meaning of parliamentary democracy. Since in the chapter's name you have seen institutions of parliamentary democracy, so in detail we are going to understand the term that is parliamentary democracy. Thank you very much.